my name's Steph. I'm the event organiser and the co-founder along with Sean Coxey. The Women's Climbing Symposium aims to connect, develop and inspire women's climbing, and that's what we hope to continue to go on to do. We also hope that there'll be another event this year, possibly a 2-day event in London, and this is the first time we've taken the Women's Climbing Symposium on the roadshow. My favourite thing that's come out of the Women's Climbing Symposium so far and what we've learned is that you don't have to be a hero to climb hard. You weren't born sort of a really, really good climber. Basically, anybody that tries hard climbs hard, and that's the theme of tonight's talk, is pushing it.
I've been climbing for 10 years. Unfortunately, I'm not really one of those super talented, like mind-blowingly good climbers. This is a trad route in Squamish called the Grand Wall, which I cried most of my way up 3 years ago. So did my boyfriend, by the way. I didn't want to make a film that just kind of cried out, "Girls can climb too," because I think most people know that by now. I really have been wanting to climb this rock for a long time. It was sort of one of those life goals I had in the back of my mind, but didn't really think I would ever get around to it because A, I didn't know how you went about climbing something like that, and B, I didn't have anyone to do it with. But then I met this girl, Jackie. She turned up in Glasgow, and it turned out that we're both from Vancouver. We were both born in the same hospital, 4 days apart. So I thought, I think there's a reason that we met in Glasgow. Yosemite quickly sort of let us know that we didn't know what we were doing. She was actually stuck. She couldn't move. And this was in Yosemite sort of 3 days or so before we tried to go. So we packed our haul bag here, the mother load, with 40 gallons of water, all our gear, all our 6 days worth of food. It weighed about 100 kilograms on that first day. And that's me trying to look psyched, but I was so scared. We were hoping we'd look like this. Rest of day was free in the south day. She was wearing a bed, she was cool, she was calm, she's free climbing. But here's us. We don't look as cool.
Climbing El Capitan is a daunting prospect. It's 3,000 feet high. You can't just get off when you get scared, and I've never done anything like it before.
World Cups have kind of turned into my job now, so I climb full time and a lot of my sponsorship depends on how I do in the World Cups. Last year I just went into them to see what happened, and this year what comes out of them determines where I go with my life and what I do, whether I can go to the next event, whether I can go on a trip at the end of the year or if I have to work. Everything depends on my performances now, which is a totally different head game. And one of the things I've always relied on is my head being good in competition, so I guess that'll get tested to its limit this year. I wasn't ready physically or mentally for kind of what I was taking on, and it wasn't planned, so I didn't know I was going to be going to the full World Cup series at the beginning of the year, and it all kind of snowballed and went so much better than I could have ever expected, which was amazing. And so I guess I'm going to talk to you about the pros and the cons and the ways in which I was forced to push it. There are big positives and negatives to competing on the world scene, and I think everyone thinks it's so much fun and it's amazing to travel to all of these countries. So the first 3 World Cups I went to China, Slovenia and Vienna in the space of just over a month, I think it was, and I travelled to all of these competitions on my own, and it was insane, just being totally alone. And I know I've never been to China before, and I didn't really know what to expect. I booked the flights 5 days before leaving and had to get an emergency visa to go out there and everything. And yeah, spent 12 hours on the first flight on my own and ended up in
the middle of nowhere, not knowing what to expect. I was in Beijing, about to get on another flight to Chongqing, which I'd never heard of before. I thought it was a small city. It's got like 9 million people in this one city, and it's terrifying because in China all of the signs, everything was so alien to me, and I was there for a day on my own before any of the teams arrived. So that was the start to my World Cup year, which was a little scary, but the competition started to go better than I expected, and I feel that like a lot of relationships can suffer, and your family take on a lot of pressure as well, and the people around you, but you also meet like-minded people. I didn't realise how much it would take out of you and how much commitment and dedication it would take.
6 and a bit years ago now, I broke my neck. Well, I dislocated 3 vertebrae in my neck in an accident at work. No, I wasn't up a climbing wall, which is what everyone assumes. I got knocked off a ladder, and which left me initially mostly paralysed from here down. And then I recovered a fair bit. I was in hospital for a while, did rehab. As you can see, I spent ages in that gym. That's in the Stoke Mandeville Spinal Unit. Basically learning to do everything again. I was really down and quite depressed. Obviously, most of my friends at this point were in the climbing circle, at work, and so they kind of supported me and came and visited me. But I kind of felt myself growing away from some of my climbing friends, because they'd come and visit me and all I'd hear about is what crack they'd been to at the weekend, which was motivating to some extent to kind of keep getting better, but at the same time it was a little bit disheartening. I started to get fit again, started to manage my own body better and get used to kind of what my limits and what I could and couldn't push. Then got on the British Disabled Ski Team out of the blue. As much as I had the potential to be going to Sochi next year, I didn't have the money, and neither did they. And then yeah, about 2.5, nearly 3 years now ago, decided that actually some of my friends were still climbers, and they'd been aiding me to go to walls for ages and get back into it, and I said no, I don't see how it would work. Don't know any other disabled climbers who you never hear of anyone disabled climbing. How would that work? One wall about 2 years after my accident, it didn't go very well. They weren't very welcoming. I couldn't really do anything, and at the time I wasn't fit enough and I wasn't in the right state, so forgot about it. And then yeah, about 2.5, nearly 2 years ago, decided right, okay, I'll give it another go, and started to get back into climbing. So I have no sensation in my hands, so I can't tell if I've got a good grip on the hold. So I kind of grip it and then grip it again a bit. And then I use it sometimes look just to double check. So that's why I'm a little bit, it also means I'm slow and really non-energy efficient. Yeah, here's where if I fell off, I'd probably decapitate myself. Slight issue with the podiums there. Anyone spot the access issue? I was a bit annoyed by the fact that they just told me to wheel around the front, and kicked up enough of a fuss. They got 2 big French guys to come and lift me up and hold me on. But the podium was only as wide as from the middle of my wheel to just under my front caster. So they had to actually hold me on the podium. So I spent the whole time getting my medal, praying to God they wouldn't drop me in front of the team. I try really hard to just be as normal as possible. Like, my sport isn't a disability sport. I've played disability sports. You've seen the skiing and you've seen the rugby. But that's not what appeals to me. I just want to hang out with my friends like I did before, and I've managed to regain that, and that's the driving passion behind what I do. It's not to be the world best, though when I'm training for a comp it is. The main drive is to be the same person I was before and let my true person come through, and not let my accident change me as a person, and I think I've achieved that. And I think there's something that pretty much anyone can learn from things that happen in life, that don't let things out of your control change what you want to do and who you want to be.
Just from my experience, and you know, as a professional climber, it doesn't matter whether they're professional or not. It's your world, you know, gets pulled away from you, and it's very subtle. But yeah, it kind of had this lingering effect on me, and so I started to feel like I was in a bit of a limbo stage. You know, my life wasn't going anywhere. I couldn't obviously make plans. I couldn't have projects, and I was starting to lose my identity, you know, well, I thought I was a climber, you know, that's who I am, that's who I've been since I was 20 or something like that. And you've got shit happening in your life, it's going to really affect how you can cope with those injuries. It affects your motivation levels, it affects, you know, how often you might do your exercises, it's going to affect how positive you feel, and if, you know, if you've got negative stuff going on in your head, it affects your body, there's no doubt about it. I came across this quote. It was by Jamila Weidmans, who's a US basketball player and now a lawyer. And she says, when you talk about an injury and the kind of depression you go through, it's not just because you're out of shape and you can't go out and play, you're missing a part of you. That's what's painful. That's what hurts. And for the first time, after all the injuries I've had, I really could truly relate to this quote. It's not just about the physical, it's that loss of identity, it's who you are, you know, and you can't be the person you want to be, and it's a difficult thing to get over.